Hey everyone, I'm Ace101, and this is not my usual video. Usually you're gonna see me up in the corner in a Twitch stream, or flashing garbling nonsense in one of my shorts promoting my Twitch streams, or any of the other videos that I upload here, which are mainly Twitch streams. But today I'm doing something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I was speaking to some people last night, and thanks to you two guys, if you see this, you know who you are. Um, that said I should do this, and I've decided to. So, welcome to Ace's Reviews. Today, our first one, we're going to be talking about Superman. James Gunn's Superman. Superman 2025, whatever you want to call it. I saw it last night, and oh my god. I will say, James Gunn, you have done it. You somehow made the most Superman movie I have ever seen. It is Superman through and through. It is Superman start to finish. It is Superman in all of its aspects. It just is. If you liked the animated Justice League show, if you were a fan of that, not so much as it was kid like, but the fact that you were a fan of this universe that feels lived in, that you have all these characters that you get to interact with without everything being an origin story, you're gonna love this. This emulates that. You are not walking into a house that was just moved into. This is a house that's been lived in. James Gunn is not wasting time with origins that you already know. So no, there's no Krypton blowing up. There's no baby coming to Earth. There's no any of that usual stuff that you have seen in the Cavill movies, in the Reeve movies, it just or Smallville, whatever. It's not there. This is Superman 3 years in. This is a world that has had superheroes or metahumans for 300 years. So you are walking into not just a lived in world but lived in relationships. That to me is so interesting about this movie, and one of the reasons why I think it's better than Man of Steel, and it's better than Superman Returns. I can't say it's better than the original Reeves films, the first two. Um, because in my opinion, whenever I think of Superman, part of me is always going to think of Christopher Reeve. However, this film, like I said, lived in relationships. So you come into Superman and Lois. She already knows he's Superman. They're already in a relationship. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything. That comes later. If you don't want to see any spoilers, don't worry. I will warn you before I really start talking about spoilers. You're welcome to click away. If you just want the spoilers, go down the line. Click that little red line down there. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a timestamp in the comments for you. Anyway, back to the subject. So, not only is that Superman and Lois have this relationship, but he already clearly has had interactions with this Justice Gang, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern. They're familiar with each other. There's not this sense of, hey, don't get in our way, don't get in my way. It's very much that he does his thing, they do theirs, they help each other out, and like they're coworkers. The most interesting part of these lived-in relationships is Superman and Lex. Superman and Lex Luthor clearly have this relationship of they've already been fighting for 3 years. So you're not sitting there through all these, like I said, things we've seen 1,000 times with Superman. So, getting into the meat and potatoes. Um, Horn Sweat is fantastic. He really gives you the sense that he is Superman. Not an actor playing Superman. You just see him, and while you're like, that's Superman. Like, he doesn't have to do much. And it's not like there's any major defining moment. There are a few. It's not like there's any specific camera shot, though there are some fantastic ones that make you go, there he is. That's Superman. Just for some reason, the whole movie, you just have that in your head, like, there's Superman. That's Superman. And there's not much the movie needs to do to get you to go in on that, which I love with any of these characters. Um, his Clark is very light. There's not a lot of scenes where he is Clark Kent. But I think it's because a lot of these movies have stressed the fact that Clark Kent and Superman are different people because he himself needs them to be. Because he can't have people knowing he's Superman and blah blah blah. But this is a little Clark light, though his Clark in public acts different than Superman. But I think it's because Gunn understands that to the audience, Clark Kent and Superman are the same person. The whole facade that it's a different character and this different thing, all of that's for the sake of the people that he's around. So they don't spend a lot of time with that. So Horn Sweat, as fantastic as a Superman, he's very Clark light. I would like to see if they do, whenever future installments come, maybe some scenes where he needs to be Superman, but he's stuck being Clark Kent. I would like to see that. Um, but Corn Sweat was cast clearly for a very good reason. He just brings to life the character in every way. I absolutely love how Gunn has written him. I love how he is. He is this Superman, but he's also still figuring himself out. He has his own flaws. He has his own conflicts that he needs to overcome in the movie, and they throw some curveballs in this film for him that I did not see coming. Otherwise, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane is fantastic. She is just uplifting. It lights up the screen. She is just Lois Lane, that awesome, amazing person that's just a reporter a little too much. Why is she in danger? Well, because she's not the damsel in distress, not because she's helpless or hapless. No, she's in the dangerous situation because she needs to know what the hell's going on. Not because Superman's going to come save the day. It's because people need to know what's really going on. And that to me is such a wonderful aspect for not just her character to have emphasized, but for her playing a reporter, to have a reporter that really cares about letting people know what's really going on. That's such a wonderful and refreshing feel. The dynamic between her and Superman is great. You don't feel like there's any awkwardness. There's this wonderful familiarity between the two of them. Um, their chemistry is undeniable. Now, getting on to Lex Luthor. Nicholas Hoult, I knew when he was cast over a year ago that he was going to do great. I had seen the show, The Great on Hulu, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. He plays a fantastic villain in that show. So I knew he could play a bad guy. What I did not expect was his Lex Luthor to be the exact embodiment of what I have always pictured Lex Luthor to be. And that was such a wonderful surprise. This not because we've all had, I think, ideas of how characters are in our head, how characters are, and when we go see these movies or TV shows, we maybe get about 30 to 50% of what we see in our head. Nicholas Hoult brings Lex Luthor to life in the exact way I have always pictured. This is a genius with great resources, with great plans, and just he is, he's a brilliant person, but his whole potential in life is stunted and dwarfed by this childlike envy and hatred towards Superman. And this Lex Luthor does not let light at all his feelings about how he feels about Superman. There is a immense burning hatred that this Lex Luthor has, which he should. That's what Lex Luthor is. He is this genius that just can't get over the fact that he's not Superman. That's what Lex Luthor really boils down to. He parades, especially in this movie, he likes to parade that he's championing humanity, that Superman's coming to destroy the human way of life. But all you really see is all this projecting, where Luthor is just not happy that there is a Superman who is loved by all, that has superpowers, that everyone likes, and it's just not him. And that really flows. There is a little bit of the Gene Hackman styling in there. It's not much, but there is a little. As much as I liked Gene Hackman's performance, I wasn't a huge fan of how his Lex Luthor was. Um, Going on to the supporting cast. The standout is Mr. Terrific. Uh, just wow. I liked the character. I had seen him in the Arrow show. I have never found him so interesting or likable or like really just kind of recognizing him as a character until this movie, where he really comes in as you kind of get the feeling he's the most seasoned hero of the bunch in this film. I can't say he's the oldest hero in the DCU, but clearly out of Superman, him, Hawk Girl, and Green Lantern, he has a sense of that he's been doing this the longest. And he's just terrific, pun intended. He just owns the screen. He owns the scenes that he's in. You really want more of Mr. Terrific. They did such a great job. Green Lantern and Guy Gardner. I mean, Nathan Fillion owns it, and Nathan Fillion does sometimes get roles kind of out of a cameo basis where he's there to make you go, "Oh, that's Nathan Fillion." But he really plays Guy Gardner the way Guy Gardner needs to be played. A brilliant Green Lantern who is an arrogant asshole. And everything you want Guy Gardner to be, he is. Hawkgirl, probably the weakest of all the characters. Not because the performance was bad, just she didn't do a whole lot. She was in the movie, she had action scenes, but in terms of what that character was doing, it wasn't a whole lot. So hopefully we'll see her in future projects where they can just dive into her a little bit more. Metamorpho, fantastic job by Anthony Carrigan to bring this character to life, to make you really feel the humanity in him through all this incredible makeup. Um, Very comic accurate. Just love the way that was done. Such a deep dive character that not everyone knows, and Gunn brought him to life in just this fantastic, amazing way. Um, who else we got? We got Jimmy Olsen, Jimmy the Riz Olsen. We have this Jimmy that is a little more independent. This is a Jimmy Olsen that clearly has his own life. He has his own way of doing things. He has his own sources. This is not a Jimmy Olsen that sole purpose is to just kind of follow around Superman like a weird puppy with a camera. I love this fact that they have this movie for one reason or another. He gets all the girls, all the really hot chicks just love Jimmy Olsen. They just love him. They just want him all the time. And it's really fun. It plays into the movie. There is no explanation, and clearly Jimmy himself doesn't really know how he does it. But it's just this fun addition to make his character just interesting again. That is something James Gunn has done with this movie is he has not only made Superman interesting again, he has made all the characters within the Superman realm interesting. There's a lot of these movies, watch them. Olsen, Lois, Perry White, all these background characters, but it's not Superman or Lex, just kind of get shoved to the side and fade into the background, and they're very one dimensional. And unless that actor went on to do other things, you don't even really remember them. So when Gunn comes along and makes all these characters memorable in their own way, even through the little small bits that they have, that really says something. I mean, Steve Lombard and Cat Grant, very briefly in the movie, but you just get a sense of who they are almost automatically. And to do that with minimal screen time is not just good writing, it's good acting. The guy playing Steve Lombard is perfect. Adam Beck from SNL, I think that's his name, just doing a great job. Perry White, he's great. Um, I think he could do a little more just because he felt very there, but felt like he was just like not so much in the writing, but how the actor played him was like trying to be like J. Jonah Jameson, but nicer. But they got the "Don't Call Me Chief" in there. He's just got you get this sense, and I'll get this just in the spoiler section. But the best thing about the whole Daily Planet crew is you get the sense that they're used to this shit by now, and that's really fun too to see. Um, but yeah, all these supporting characters were just fantastic. It was just a whole all over. This movie was just great. Crypto, my guy, this dog is fun. It's great. It's a dog. That's the thing is, a lot of people think Crypto is like this really intelligent dog that understands things on a human level, and they go, "No, Crypto's a fucking dog with superpowers. He's gonna act like a dog with superpowers." And he just steals scenes. He's great. He has some comedic relief, obviously purpose, but he gets to really be a character in his own. And that to me is what's great about this movie too is there really isn't a sacrifice character. There isn't a character that's just there just to be there. Everyone's there with a purpose and intent, and you get a feeling of who they are even through their minimal screen time. Overall, this movie is just hopeful. It's bright. The action is awesome. You get honestly some of the coolest Superman moments that I've seen on screen in terms of heat vision, frost breath, super strength, super speed. Like you get this is a Superman that has emotion. Like a lot of the things people remember about Superman is Superman can have this stoic, godlike sense. He can, but I feel like that has to be something he gets through experience and time. You have a lot of people that want him right off the bat to just be stoic and godlike and impervious to everything and just very almost Captain America like. And he could be like that. Superman could be like that, but I feel like that has to be Superman years and years down the road. Not right at the beginning, which a lot of people want. And this, this is not a god that thinks, well, I'm a god playing human. This is a guy that really wants to be a man, that wants to have a life, that wants to be a person. And you really get that feeling out of this Superman that is just working on himself, and he has flaws. He can be hurt. But what I loved about this, and this might probably will tick some people off, um, why this Superman is better than most, and probably even Cavill, and I like Cavill, is throughout the movie, Superman gets his ass kicked. The idea is that there are people and things out there that are being built and designed to defeat him. So he's getting his ass kicked. And every time he does, he just gets right back up and just gets right back to the fight, regardless of how injured he is. The second he can get back into the fight, he does. And a lot of superhero movies have this annoying little habit of the superhero gets their ass kicked, they give up, they have this down moment, they feel, and then something makes them go, wait, it's worth fighting for. That does not happen in this movie. He does have low moments that makes him question himself, but you don't have that trope of, I'm giving up, fuck it, I failed, who cares, right? No, this Superman just keeps getting back up, like, I gotta get back out there, I gotta keep fighting, I gotta keep doing the right thing. And that is just the energy of this movie, is just Superman in his truest form, and I loved it. I loved this movie. I loved the feeling this movie gave. I loved the dynamic between the characters. The the trailer honestly hides a lot of the plot, which is fantastic. The CGI is good. Like, it's just, this movie just really feels like how we've all come to love Superman through the comics. And I know there's gonna be tons of people who don't like it. And I'll say this right now. Are you really a Superman fan, or are you a Henry Cavill fan? Because I liked the Man of Steel. I liked Batman versus Superman. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is probably one of the best comic book movies ever made. But there are a lot of people, and I'm looking at you, I know one of you's watching this right now, that your first and only exposure to Superman has been Man of Steel and Injustice. You need to understand those are very specific and conditionally rare instances for Superman. That's not how he is all the time. That's how he is in a lot of the comics. He is very emotional. He is fun. He is lighthearted. He does get beat up and keep going. If you look at a lot of stuff before Man of Steel, that's what it was. Man of Steel was a very big turn. It was an attempt to really re-envision Superman. It's still good, but if you're gonna sit there and say, "Well, I'm a Superman fan. I love the comics. Man of Steel is the most accurate," you're wrong. This movie is the most comic accurate, the most Superman movie ever. Is Corn Sweat the best Superman? I can't say that for sure because he's had one movie that he had to share with a bunch of other people. Cavill Reeves had multiple films and got to do multiple things. So, to me, Reeve might still be the best Superman. But Corn Sweat is well on his way to becoming a household name with this role. The DCU is well on its way to being something new and unique, and I think the DCU is going to be something that's really, mm, excuse me, it's really going to get people back to wanting comic book movies, because I think part of it is we're getting the same movie with different characters over and over again, and Marvel has been partially responsible for that. A lot of their origin movies are the same structure with a different character. I think Gunn has looked at what the MCU has done wrong and where they keep repeating themselves, and there seems to be a very constant, conscious effort to make sure that not only are they seeing through their plans that they want to do, but they're making sure that everything is done right and with care. That everything is going to stand out. This movie does not feel like any other comic book movie that I have seen. This does not feel like a Marvel copy. This does not feel like old DC. This feels fresh and new. Is it a groundbreaking film? I can't say groundbreaking, but in terms of a comic book movie that might get people interested again in comic book movies and a comic book universe, this movie's really on it because you don't have to have all this homework. This film does not tease other projects. If you're going to see this movie thinking you're going to get some after scene for Peacemaker or for Supergirl or for Lanterns or whatever, no, there's no thing that sets up another film in this. This is a Superman film. You get to enjoy Superman. Are there after scenes? Yes, but those after scenes are just fun tags. They're fun, cool tags. That's it. There's no teaser. And that is something people are going to get used to with the DCU. There's going to be a lot of Marvel fans that aren't going to like that, I think. I think a lot of people get used to after scenes as being your trailer for the next film, your first taste, or whatever of what's coming next. And I think the idea is that Gunn doesn't want to overcommit. Gunn doesn't want to commit to something or a plan or an idea that at the time might have worked, at the time might have been cool, but now is just not where it needs to be, not who we need to be, not what we need to be doing. So, like I said, do not anticipate setups for other films. Are there things in here that possibly hint at the idea of that maybe being something we explore in another project? Possibly, but nothing that's concrete. This film is a Superman film. This is going to be a lot like Star Wars, people, where the DCU is going to be a timeline in which we're going to experience things upon the timeline. But not everything is meant to connect to the next one and be some trailer for the next project. Um, like I said, overall, I give this movie like an 8.7 out of 10. I want to see it again. I'll probably see it again and maybe make a second video where I just go through things I noticed the second time. I loved this movie. I just loved everything about it. The suit, the action, the fine, just the dialogue, a couple weird moments. There was one thing in the movie I found ridiculous, but overall, this 8.7 out of 10, man. If you want to see it, go see it. If you're expecting dark, gritty, Snydery stuff, you're probably not going to like it. This movie's not going to please everyone. I'll say right now, this movie is not going to please everyone. There are going to be people that are going to hate it for being too comic book. This is the most comic book I have ever felt any comic book movie be. Hands fucking down. Because it's not trying to have this movie formula. It's trying to be like something new and fresh. So it's not going to please everyone, but I think a lot of people are going to love it. I think the DCU is in great hands. I think Gunn knows what he's doing, and I think we only get to look forward to things getting better from here. It just I'm so enamored and so taken back. I'm still kind of processing like just the feeling this movie gives you. Because it's not like this movie comes out and becomes the greatest comic movie ever. It's not the greatest comic movie ever, but the DCU is off to a very strong start. And like I said, I think we only get to look forward to better things from here if this movie is any indication of what the promise of the grand DCU is going to be. Okay, now that's done, we're going to get into some of the spoilers. So I'm going to give you a few seconds here to click away. Go away. If you don't want to know spoilers about the movie, go see the movie. Come back. We're at like what? 23, 24 minutes into this. So, you don't want to know spoilers, click away now. You still there? So you want to know, huh? All right, let's do it. This is the spoiler section. Okay. So, grand cameos. Everyone always wants to know with these movies, are there any big cameos? And I can only think of three. And they're not even huge. They're cameos. The first cameo of the film is Bradley Cooper coming in as Jor-El. We see a lot of video holograms of Superman's parents, of Jor-El, and Jor-El is played by Bradley Cooper. Whether that means this will be Bradley Cooper's only role in the DCU, I don't know. My guess is that he did it because it's funny, you kind of look at Bradley Cooper, you look at Corn Sweat, you actually do kind of see a similarity. So it could have just been through that, or he's a friend of Gunn. But that was cool to see him. It's just kind of repeated lines. It's not like he's interacting with characters. They clearly had him film something, and then they're just slicing it in when they need to. But very cool to see. Bradley was looking a bit thin. I will say, so maybe it was just me, but he looked a little thin. Um, the second little fun cameo was John Cena. Good old Christopher Smith, aka the Peacemaker. Doesn't have a cameo in the sense that he shows up and helps them fight. There are scenes where Superman has been discredited. We'll get into as to why that happened in a second. And you see TV press clips, and on one late night show, you see Peacemaker in for a few seconds, and to me, that really suggests the question, how in the living hell did Peacemaker get such a good reputation that he's allowed on TV? You know? And the third, and probably the biggest cameo of the movie, was Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, coming in right at the end to reveal that actually Krypto is her dog, and Clark was just watching him for like the weekend or whatever. That was actually a pretty fun thing to see. And Millie Alcock is in it for a few seconds with literally, honestly, no explanation of how she's already there, how long she's been. There's nothing. There's no explanation. She just comes in, gets her dog, goes, "Thanks for watching my dog, bitch," and then gone. And she says "bitch." It's kind of cool. Um, but already you get this little snippet of her, and you're already kind of like you get excited to see her. So that to me was more fun than any post scene tease. Just slicing her in, letting you know she's there. Krypto's her dog, and then she just leaves to go back to a red sun planet to get drunk. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Right at the end, nice little thing. What's cool is that it basically indicates that Supergirl, next year's DCU film, is most likely a prequel to Superman in terms of the events. I don't think it's a prequel in the sense that it's going to set up events of Superman. I think it's a prequel in the sense that, like we said, this is like Star Wars with its timeline, where certain things happen before this, after this, but it's not all connected. It just exists. So Supergirl, I think, will be its own thing. But I think within the DCU timeline is probably going to be that Supergirl takes place a few years, probably between a year and a few years before the events of Superman. I'm very excited for that movie. It was really cool. The big twist of the film. There's always a big twist. Um, the twist here is that Kryptonians aren't exactly all good. Um, Part of the plot is in the first half of the film, Superman has this message from Jor-El, his parents on Krypton, that they love him more than anything, they love him more than everything, and they sent him here because he's gonna be superpowered, and this was a planet where he could do the most good, and that he was gonna be great here, and then the message is cut off because it was damaged. Lex Luthor and his friends. Oh, the engineer, by the way. Great job on the engineer. I completely forgot to say anything about the engineer. Great casting, great character. Can't wait to see more of her. They decipher this message and find out that Superman's parents sent him there not to be good for Earth, but the idea was he would be the most powerful being on that planet, that Earth is a simple, unevolved race, and that he'd be very easily able to come in and essentially take over and rule the planet and use humans as a way of repopulating and bringing back Krypton. The idea is that they sent him there to rule, take wives, and rebuild Krypton on Earth. Very big, very shocking. Turns out to be true. It's not like, oh, Lex made it up. That's what it was. And that's a twist that's going to probably anger a lot of people. I find it interesting because if you look at it from them, this is a planet that is dying. This is a planet that is very evolved and really thinks highly of itself. And the thing about people or things that start to get more evolved and sophisticated is they start to look upon the lesser with less humanity. You view them as less of people and more as things to be used for your own purpose. So the idea is that, maybe Krypton was dying and they didn't want to die, so they said, well, we're going to get one of us to a planet that we can take over and we'll just make a new Krypton and everything will be safe. So that was a big twist, and it's revealed to the world that the message is then played to the world. The world starts thinking Superman's there to take over. He's some conqueror. Lex is obviously enjoying that. Um, I find it very interesting. Like I said, that's going to be something I think not everyone's going to be happy with, but it is interesting, and I liked it. I know it's different, but there's a lot of controversy right now going around the fact that Superman is an immigrant, which I don't care how you feel politically, he is. He's a guy that came from another planet and is living here. Doesn't, legally, illegally, immigrant doesn't, immigrant is immigrant. And that I think is what this movie is really trying to remind us all is that like, it's about actions. This movie really resembles actions, and that's what makes you who you are. There is this tremendous scene between Clark and Pa Kent, where he's going over what that message means. He can't believe that's what his parents really sent him here for. He doesn't feel like he knows who he is anymore because he thought that message meant that they wanted him here to be in service of humanity and help the world be a better place, not to take it over. And Pa Kent has this line that felt very undersung in the moment, but I love now, which is, um, I think what you wanted that message to be means more than what that message actually is. And I thought that was a really profound line because that was telling is like you feel like because your dead fucking parents wanted you to be this thing that you're supposed to be that. He says parents are not for telling what their kids who they're supposed to be. Um, and he tells Clark, like, your actions and who you choose to be and what you choose to do in the moment, that's what makes you you, not this message. And I loved that moment. That really made this really feel real. His parents felt real. These felt like real blue collar Kansas farmers for the first time. I was not a fan of Kevin Costner's Pa Kent. I do not believe Pa Kent would have Superman let him die simply for the sake of preserving his secret identity. That was just so wrong on so many levels. And here are these Palm on Kent, and these ones feel like blue collar farmers. They treat him like Clark, like Superman is that weird job their son has, you know? And I love that about them. And this Kent was great, and there's this great moment, and these great. It's these moments right there that really make this movie Superman. Um, the pocket dimension thing was cool. The splitting of the universes was very interesting. Um, the idea that Lex still is trying to do things with real estate and land, I thought that was very funny. But very just in character for him. I love the fact they said, "No, I didn't take you out of the picture, so I can go do this. I did this to have a reason to take you out of the picture." Once again, things like that are what makes this Luthor so great, so much fun. I know I'm rambling. Other spoilers of the film, I guess, or anything to get into. The Justice Gang are there. There's not much of a tease towards a Justice League. There's the Hall of Justice and all that. Um, the fact that like everyone kind of knows Superman and Lois are dating is very interesting. Eve Tessmacher was great. Um, kind of a secret hero of the movie there and towards the end, sort of. Just the whole thing. I love that near the end when the world's splitting, everything's falling apart. They're like the whole Daily Planet team's just chilling in their fucking place, just doing whatever, not even bother the world's falling apart around them. They're just getting to the truth of the matter. It's all things like this that make it so much fun. It's a fun movie. It's fun. It's big. It's bright. It's hopeful. I wouldn't say it's light because there's a couple dark moments, but just this big, awesome film. This whole thing, I'm probably understating it. This whole film is just fantastic. It's Superman. Um, I loved every minute of it. I want to see it again. Like I said, this is going to divide some people. This movie, this is not an invincible Superman. This is a Superman that is invincible, but people have found ways to hurt him. So you do have to get used to that. But James Gunn is clearly going to take DC in a wonderful new direction and a great direction in a way that we need, in a way that people need. Um, Go see it. Go see it on a big screen. Go see it in theaters. Please, it just wow. I love this movie. It was fantastic. I can get more into it later. I my friend Sean might see it. Man, we'll do our second take with him. Just everything about this movie is what it should have been. Whether or not that's what you wanted, it's everything it should have been. And that I think is what's going to matter most with DC going forward is you have to make movies what they should be. And James Gunn I think understands that. So we'll see where we go from here. We have Peacemaker coming out in a month or two. We got Lanterns next year. We got Supergirl next year. So the DC is going to have some really interesting stuff coming down the pipeline. We have that Clayface movie coming. So all great things, but like I say, Superman is a film that you can really enjoy as Superman. You don't have to worry about seeing everything else. There is nothing else to see. You can just go see it. I know there's Creature Commandos. You do not need to see Creature Commandos to understand Superman. You can just go see Superman. It's fine. So, sorry this has gone on so long. Sorry this is dragged, but I'll just give you my general summary. Superman is a wonderful and amazing film that is everything that we need right now in superhero movies. It is bright, it is amazing, it is hopeful, it is well cast, it is well written, the action is fantastic. This is not anything that we have seen before in a comic book movie. This is not anything we have seen before in a Superman film. This actually goes out of its way to make sure that it is not repeating itself like some other Superman reboots have. I give this movie a solid 8.7 out of 10, and I think you definitely should go see it. If you have any interest at all, go see it. The DCU is well on its way to being something big, beautiful, and iconic. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later.